She's just a nurse, not combat personnel. Those 5 words echoed in Commander Ryan Venom Patterson's mind like a bullet that never hit its target, but still left a wound. He'd said it during a briefing, casually, as if stating a fact. Of nature, like gravity, like the sun rising in the east, medics stayed behind. Our fighters went forward. That was the order of things, but 47 minutes later, those words would come back to him, not as a rule, but as a reckoning. Because when the IEDs detonated, when the convoy burned, when 12 of his elite SEALs lay bleeding in the desert sand, it wasn't another SEAL who saved them. It wasn't air support. It wasn't armor. It wasn't a miracle. It was her, the woman he'd dismissed, the nurse, the one who didn't carry a rifle as a weapon, until she had to, and in 18 minutes, under relentless enemy fire, she did what no combat medic had ever done before. She saved all 12. Not one died. Not one was left behind. And in doing so, she didn't just break the rules of battlefield medicine. She rewrote them. This is the true story of how Lieutenant Kylie Rogers, a 26-year-old Navy nurse from Wisconsin, became the most unexpected warrior in special operations history, and how one commander learned that the most dangerous person on a battlefield isn't always the one with the biggest gun. Sometimes it's the one holding a syringe. Forward, operating base. Sentinel wasn't much to look at, a cluster of sand-colored tents, razor wire, and satellite dishes in the middle of nowhere. The air tasted like dust and diesel. The sun never stopped burning. For 3 weeks, Lieutenant Kylie Rogers had been assigned here, a quiet addition to the medical wing, treating sprains, heat exhaustion, and the occasional infected wound from training accidents. She didn't talk much. She didn't need to. Her presence was calm, steady, almost unnerving in its precision. Green eyes that missed nothing, hands that moved with surgical certainty. She'd graduated top of her class from the University of Wisconsin School of Nursing. Then, instead of taking a high-paying job in a civilian ER, she enlisted. "I wanted to serve the people who serve others." That's what she told the recruiter. No medals, no glory, just purpose. She wasn't a SEAL. She wasn't even a combat medic by title. She was a Navy Nurse Corps officer assigned to support special operations units in the field. To the SEALs, she was background noise. Another face in the rear echelon. Commander Ryan Patterson, leader of SEAL Team Delta, barely acknowledged her during briefings. She sat at the back, clipboard in hand, listening. "Medical personnel will establish aid station. At Grid Delta 7, he'd say. Treat casualties, coordinate evacuation, maintain comms, stay behind the line." She'd nod, every time. For 3 weeks, she followed orders, until the day the orders stopped mattering. The mission was routine, reconnaissance patrol through a mountainous desert corridor, a known smuggling route, recently active with insurgent. Chattered are 12 SEALs, 3 up-armored Humvees, standard loadout. Standard protocols. Kylie rode in the 3rd vehicle, the rear command and medical unit. Her kit was fully stocked. IV fluids, tourniquets, chest seals, hemostatic gauze, intubation tools, and a compact field surgical pack designed for trauma. Stabilization. And her M4, standard issue, but one she'd never fired in combat. She wasn't supposed to. "Your job is to treat, not fight," the training manual said, but the manual didn't account for ambushes or IEDs or impossible choices. The convoy moved through a narrow valley. Sand on one side, rocky outcroppings on the other, perfect terrain for an ambush. Patterson knew it. He scanned the ridges through his binoculars. Nothing, just wind and silence. Then, boom, the lead vehicle lifted 6 feet into the air, twisted like a toy, and slammed back into the earth in a fireball of metal and smoke. Before the second Humvee could react, boom, a second IED buried under the sand detonated directly beneath it. The vehicle rolled twice, ejecting 2 SEALs like ragdolls. The third, Kylie's vehicle, swerved hard, avoiding the blast zone, but was thrown sideways by the concussive wave. When the dust settled, the convoy was destroyed, and the enemy wasn't done. Kylie came to with blood trickling from her temple. Her helmet had saved her. Her vision swam. She unclipped her harness and looked out. Chaos, smoke, fire, screams, and bodies. 12 operators, the best of the best, now scattered across a 100-meter stretch of desert, bleeding, broken, dying. The lead vehicle was a coffin. The second was overturned. The third was burning, and from the ridges above, muzzle flashes began to bloom. "Incoming!" Patterson's voice crackled over the radio. "Establish perimeter! Return fire!" He was already moving, crawling toward the first casualty, blood streaming down his face. Kylie's training kicked in before her fear could. She grabbed her medical kit, then her M4. She didn't hesitate. She ran toward the fire. Chapter 4. The First Life. Petty Officer. Rodriguez 20 meters from the lead vehicle. Petty Officer Daniel Rodriguez lay on his back, leg twisted at a grotesque angle. Compound fracture, femoral artery bleeding. He was losing blood fast. Kylie dropped beside him, pressing 2 gloved hands into the wound. "Stay with me, Rodriguez. You're going to be fine." His eyes were glassy. "Doc, how bad?" She didn't lie. "Bad enough that you're going home to your family? Good enough that you're going to walk your daughter down the aisle someday." She slapped a tourniquet above the knee, cranked it tight. Pulse weak, skin pale. She tore open an IV kit, found a vein in his arm, and started fluid resuscitation. Then gunfire. Rounds kicked up sand around her. She didn't flinch. She finished the IV, secured it, then raised her rifle. 3 controlled bursts at a muzzle flash on the ridge. Silence. She turned back to Rodriguez. "I told you, you're not dying today." Then she moved to the next. Chen had been driving the second Humvee. The vehicle rolled twice. He was alive. Barely. Concussion. Possible internal bleeding. Disoriented, trying to stand. "Doc, we need to establish perimeter." Kylie pushed him back down. "I've got the perimeter. Your job is to stay still and let me keep you alive." She stabilized his neck with a cervical collar, checked his pupils. Unequal. Sign of brain swelling. She administered a fast-acting steroid to reduce inflammation. Started another IV, all while scanning the ridges. An enemy fighter crept forward, rifle raised. Kylie didn't break rhythm. She fired 1 shot. He dropped. She returned to Chen. "You're not dying either, Chief." Chapter 6. The Third Life. Petty Officer Williams had been in the burning vehicle. Shrapnel had torn through his chest and abdomen. He was conscious but fading. "Got 2 kids, Doc. 7 and 9. Kylie crawled to him, dragging her kit. Tension pneumothorax. Air trapped in the chest, collapsing the lung. She grabbed a chest tube, prepped the site. "What are their names?" "Sarah. Michael." "They think you're a hero?" "Yeah, you are. And they'll keep thinking that for 60 years. She inserted the tube, a rush of air. His breathing eased. She packed his abdominal wounds, started fluids. Another burst of fire. She returned 3 rounds, then back to work. Patterson had established a defensive perimeter with the 3. SEALs still able to fight, but they were surrounded, ammo low. No comms with base, no air support. He saw Kylie moving between the wounded, treating, fighting, treating again. "Rogers," he shouted over the radio. "Medical assessment, how many can we save?" She looked at the 12 men. 3 needed immediate surgery. 5 were critical but stable. 4 were delayed priority. In a normal war zone, half would die before evacuation. She keyed her mic. "Commander, I can stabilize all of them." Patterson stared. "How? Give me 18 minutes. 18 minutes? I can buy us 18 minutes if you can hold the line." Patterson didn't understand, but he trusted her. "You've got 18 minutes. And then she disappeared into the storm. Chapter 8. The 18 minutes that defied medicine. What happened next wasn't just heroism, it was revolution. Kylie moved like a machine, but one with a soul. She became both medic and warrior, switching. Rolls in seconds, stabilize, fire, move, treat, reload, repeat. She didn't just treat wounds, she fought for the right to treat them. Martinez was on fire when she reached him. She smothered the flames. Then began fluid resuscitation. Burns this severe required massive fluid replacement, but too much too fast could cause pulmonary edema. She calculated the exact rate. While doing it, she fired 3 rounds at a sniper nest. "Doc, it hurts, I know, but you're going to heal. Focus on my voice." Petty Officer Santos. Traumatic amputation. Santos stared at his missing hand in shock. Kylie applied a tourniquet, packed the wound with hemostatic gauze. "Look at me, not your hand." "Doc, my hand, it's gone, but your life isn't. You're going home." She kept him talking about his wife, his dog, his favorite meal. Shock is a silent killer. She fought it with words. Lee was lying in open ground, spine possibly severed. Standard protocol, immobilize. Do not move. But enemy fire was zeroing in. If she didn't move him, he'd die. If she did, he might never walk again. She made the call. "Lee, I'm moving you. Stay completely still." She dragged him to cover, maintaining perfect spinal alignment. Then stabilized him. One impossible choice. Down 4 more casualties near the burning vehicle. Johnson, shrapnel in legs and abdomen. Brown, skull fracture, unconscious. Davis, penetrating chest wound. White, multiple fractures, internal bleeding. Kylie worked like a surgeon in a war zone. Chest seals, IVs, pain meds, tourniquets, all while returning fire. Her M4 wasn't a weapon, it was a shield, protecting her patients while she saved them. Thompson was the youngest, 19, fresh out of Bud-S. Eager to prove himself, now he was dying. "Doc, am I going to die?" The question hit her like a knife. She looked into his eyes. "You're not going to die? Not today, not here, not on my watch. Promise?" "I promise." She stabilized him and meant it. Morgan was the worst, head trauma, chest injuries, abdominal bleeding, both legs broken. In a hospital, he'd need a team of surgeons. Kylie had 2 minutes left. She looked at her kit, then at him, and made a decision. She was going to perform field surgery. Using trauma techniques from advanced combat medicine, she controlled arterial bleeding with a temporary shunt-relieved chest pressure, with a needle decompression, stabilized fractures with field splints administered. Pain and anti-shock meds all, while enemy fire rained down, and at 18 minutes exactly. She stood up, keyed her radio. "Commander Patterson, medical assessment complete." Silence. All 12 casualties stabilized for evacuation. No KIA. All survivable with proper surgical intervention. 10 seconds of silence. Then, "Rogers. Repeat that. All 12 stable, sir. No fatalities." Patterson looked around. 12 men who should have been dead were now conscious, breathing, stable. The nurse had done the impossible. Medical evacuation arrived 30 minutes later. All 12 were flown to a forward surgical hospital. Every single one survived. The after-action report became required reading at every military medical school. One Navy nurse performed battlefield medicine, exceeding the capabilities of a full surgical team under ideal conditions. The Pentagon wanted her, develop new combat medical protocols. Her commanders wanted her, lead advanced trauma training. Researchers wanted to study her. How did she do it? Kylie just wanted to get back to work. 2 weeks later, Patterson found her in the medical tent. "Rogers, sir, what you did, that wasn't just medical care. That was battlefield surgery under conditions that would challenge surgeons in fully equipped hospitals." She looked up. "They needed care. I provided it. That's what nurses do." Patterson paused. "I was wrong, sir. I said you were just a nurse. But you're not. You're combat personnel. You just fight a different enemy." She smiled. We're all on the same team, Commander. We just use different tools. 6 months later, Kylie was promoted to Lieutenant Commander. She was assigned to establish the Advanced Combat Medical Training Program. Her methods became known as the Rogers Protocol. It taught medics to integrate combat and medical skills, make life or death decisions under firefight for the chance to save a life. Training facilities began running live fire medical drills. Medics learned to intubate while under simulated fire, to perform chest decompressions while returning fire, to triage. Under enemy observation, the bond between SEALs and their medics changed forever. They weren't just support, they were warriors. 18 months after the ambush, Kylie received the Silver Star, the third highest military decoration for valor. The citation read, "For gallantry in action while serving as medical officer with a Navy SEAL element during combat operations, Lieutenant Commander Rogers' exceptional medical skill, innovative trauma techniques, and unwavering dedication resulted in the survival of 12 critically wounded personnel under extreme combat conditions." At the ceremony, the 12 SEALs she saved stood in formation. One by one, they approached her. Rodriguez, now on a prosthetic leg, handed her a drawing from his daughter. "Thank you for saving Daddy," Patterson spoke at the reception. "I used to think medics stayed behind the line. She taught me that the most dangerous enemy on the battlefield isn't the one with a rifle. It's the one who refuses to let a soldier die." Chapter 13. The mindset years later. As head of the Special Operations Medical Research Division, Kylie trained a new generation of combat medics. She stood before them, calm, steady. Anyone can learn medical procedures. The military teaches trauma surgery, emergency medicine, casualty evacuation. She paused. But what it can't teach is the mindset. The absolute refusal to accept that a patient will die when medical intervention can prevent it. That's what makes the difference. Not equipment, not training, not rank. It's the certainty that your patients will survive because you refuse to let them die. Today, in special operations units around the world, there's a saying: if you hear all 12 casualties stable, no fatalities, know that a guardian is on the field. It's a code, a legend, a promise. Because on one desert morning, a nurse proved that healing is a form of combat. That courage isn't just in the trigger finger, it's in the hands that stop the bleeding. And that sometimes the most powerful weapon on the battlefield is a promise. I promise you're not going to die. And she kept it.